Hi, I'm Dr. Richard Hill Davis. Thank you for joining us today for the introduction to my new textbook, Presentations Matter. I'm a professor here at Fengjia University, and along with my colleague Michael McAllister, who's been teaching here a long time, we decided to make a public speaking book that's a little bit different and unique in the climate today. So today we're going to introduce the book, and we're going to talk about some other aspects. So the outline for today's speech, I'm first going to talk about who Michael and I are, a little bit about where we're coming from, also some other contributors to the book. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about my teaching philosophy and explain some of my ideas. Then after that, I'm going to talk about what makes this book different than other textbooks, because we set out to make something that would be uniquely specific for Taiwanese students. Then, my third part, I'm going to go over the text, and I'm going to give examples from different units throughout the text to give you an idea and a feel for how the book works. Finally, because we're facing lots of uncertainties these days, I'm going to be doing some work with you on some resources that you can use for online teaching. Public speaking is a very difficult class to teach, and it's even more so if it has to be done online. So I'm going to give you some activities, some examples of things I've done for my students, and how to conduct an online public speaking class. All right? So, as I said, my name is Richard. I've been in Taiwan for a long time. I've been teaching English for nearly 25 years, and I've been a professor here at Fengjia for the last 5. I'm now an associate professor, recently promoted. Michael McAllister was at Fengjia for over 25 years. He's now retired. He was the language center coordinator. He's a big name in extensive reading. So he's an expert in a lot of great things, and he's one of the best teachers I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So, to make a long story short, we're always the ones who have to judge all the public speaking contests, and we had to teach the classes. So when Donghua asked us to write this book, we were very excited because we have some ideas that are not the same as what everyone else has. And so Michael and I got together and we worked on this book very carefully for a while so that we could make sure that it met and helped our students. This isn't just public speaking, it's a lot more because it's also a language course. And I think as we go through the rest of the day, you'll start to get some ideas about what are the little things that we can do that will make it more impactful for our students. Right now in the US, there's a huge emphasis on engagement, student engagement. How do we get our students to put down the cell phones and pay attention to you and me? Well, one of the things we can do is make sure that the topics or the content is relevant. I looked at about 8 or 9 different public speaking textbooks to get some ideas, to see what was happening. And a lot of them had a lot of the same kind of topics, and they're unrealistic for our students today. And so we needed to make our book more realistic and more targeted to our students. So Michael and I worked on that. My teaching philosophy is one of mutual respect, empathy, and safety. I want my students to feel that they're in a safe place when they're communicating. What I mean by this is there was research done as to what are adults' number one fears. And not surprisingly, public speaking was one of the highest fears that many adults have. The idea of sharing their ideas or communicating to a large group of people is very scary. And in almost all public speaking books, there's always the introduce yourself to the class on the first day. Now, while this can be a fun icebreaker, it will ratchet up the tension and the nervousness and cause students to feel overwhelmed. So the goal of our textbook is to slowly build up to that. In the first few units, they're not working for the whole class for their speeches. They're working with partners, neighbors, maybe a small team, just communicating in smaller groups slowly building up to the end where they will make a class presentation in a team, but so that we can share some of the responsibility. That's why we're keeping it as a team. We don't want to make our students feel overwhelmed. We don't want to make them feel stressed out. These are trying times. So the goal is that we build them up. We build up their confidence, we build up their ability, we build up their strategy until they feel confident and comfortable to speak. Once they do, they'll be able to perform so much better. And that feeds into our teaching philosophy of empathy. Would I feel comfortable making a speech in Chinese for 10 minutes in front of a group of people? No, I would not. Could I do it? Maybe. Would it be bad? Yes. Yes, it would be terrible. But our students who are young haven't had the exposure to life that we have, so they're going to be even more nervous. So I urge empathy and understanding why they may not want to speak out loud. The other thing is they need to feel safe. Many of my students do not like to raise their hands. They do not like to speak in class because they're scared. They're scared they'll say something wrong. They're scared they'll make a mistake and their classmates will judge them. They're scared the professors will decide that they are bad students. Lots of reasons to be scared. We need to let them know that they're in a safe place and that there's really no wrong answer. So in our textbook, a lot of our questions could have very different answers depending on who's answering it. The thing I want to stress is that they're all okay. They're all good. All answers are good as long as they're real. It would not be fair if I was introducing us if I didn't mention our team of experts. We compiled 7 experts, people who work in the business world in different fields and have to make presentations themselves as part of their job. It's one thing for a professor to say, you need to do this in a presentation. But if our students can actually hear from the mouths of real people who actually have to make presentations as part of their job in English, well, it'll add a little bit of credence and a little bit of expertise that will make us sound and feel much more confident. I know for myself that I don't know everything. And so it was really good to get these experts to tell us, no, don't bother doing this. Do this instead. And to tell me where I was wrong. It was very fascinating, and I learned some really important techniques, and we're happy to share those with you in our textbook. And we have 7 experts who talk from, publishing or from pharmaceuticals or all sorts of business, and professors who have to make presentations as their livelihood. And this will speak to the students and give them a real sense of this can be done and who can do it. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about what makes this book different. One of the things that makes this different, one of my first jobs at a university here in Taiwan, they had the students memorizing famous speeches as part of their public speaking. So the students would have to memorize, I Have a Dream, or Steve Jobs' speech. And they would get up and they would make the speech, and it was like watching, if you ever go to Disneyland, and you'll see the robots making a speech. That's what it was like. And that wasn't public speaking, that's public roboting. So one of the things we want to do is we want to make it human. We emphasize storytelling. We emphasize organization. We emphasize comfort. So we don't, like I said earlier, we don't start off with a speech in front of the class. We start off in pair and share. Think, pair, share. Big part of our class, where students will get together, share ideas, and share the responsibility for those answers. That way no one has ever felt like it's all on them. Another thing that we really care about is independent learning. We have decided to collaborate with a learning platform on the internet called English Central. And we're very lucky and have put together some really impactful and very good activities based on independent learning. The classroom is a great place, but so much more learning can be done outside of the class. So that's why we include this English Central outside learning application platform that's on the internet. It allows the students a chance to practice their speaking, listening, and reading and public speaking outside of the classroom in their own time, so that they can learn on their own at their own pace, which is a big problem for some. Because in every class, you'll have superstars and you'll have people who are really struggling. And so we want to make it a little bit even, and so that the strugglers can have time to learn on their own pace and away from the glare of everyone else. Now, this book was written with a business major mind, meaning these are about selling, it's about promotion, it's about making connections with the audience to help convince them that you're right. While it was written for a business, it can be used for any kind of student. Now, yeah, business students will have to make sales and they'll have to make pitches, but so will other people. I had to do a defense for my PhD. That's kind of like selling my idea. It was like public speaking. And so we take the idea that anything we teach can be used by anyone. All right? These are not just business talks. The ideas can be applied to everyone. Another issue is what's important. Now, as an old person, what is important to me is not the same that is important to our students, right? I want a strong family. I want strong support. I need a good night's sleep. I need a good night's sleep. All of these kind of things. But to our students, if you say, oh, you should care about sleeping, tell me about an invention that you care about, they're not going to be able to do this. Instead, you have to think about what's important to them. Shopping, social media, all of these issues and pressures that are on them today that we didn't have. And so that's what we did. With our book, we decided to look for topics that could be explored better by younger people. We tried to make sure that it's important to them. These topics, we interviewed our students, we found out what kind of issues they cared about and what they can be doing to improve themselves for those issues. Students' number one issue, they want to get a job. So that's why a lot of our self-introduction is not the typical, there are 4 people in my family spiel, but more about where they're going, where they're coming from, and how to market themselves. These are the issues that they care about. They want to be able to get a good job. All right. Other issues that they care about. They care about shopping. They care about making good deals. They care about expressing ideas. They want to do it in a fun way. They don't want it to be in a boring way. I saw one book where people had to give their own eulogy, the speech when they've died. That's depressing and dark and grim, and our students don't need that. So we try to stay light and fun and keep it flowing. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the book, and we're going to discuss what the actual book looks like. Now, we have 8 units in our book. The idea is that it will be taught in one semester, and every unit of every book follows the same order. All right, you start off with a warm-up, and then you continue on to a listening activity, then organization, then expert's view, language focus, and then task, and there'll be tips sprinkled in. All of these are the same for every unit. However, each unit has a different goal. The key, though, is that each unit is building upon previous covered material. We don't jump around. We're slowly building up. It's a process. And we try to reflect that idea in our textbook. We also discuss certain things that I don't see in a lot of textbooks. Aristotle's theories of rhetoric, where you talk about ethos, logos, and pathos. How to convince listeners that you are an expert. Do you appeal to their emotions? Do you appeal to their intellect? Do you appeal to their heart? These are the kind of issues that public speakers need to make. We also talk a little bit about hand gestures or body language. But we build this all throughout all of the units. So now let's look at some of the units we got. All right, so here's an example of a warm-up activity. We're having a lot of fun and focusing on stores they may know. Here we're talking about cultural context and famous brands and famous stores. Our students are exposed to a lot more context and intercultural communication through Netflix, through YouTube, through TikTok than we ever experienced. So while a Taiwanese professor may not know Dunkin' Donuts, our students may know Dunkin' Donuts because of videos, and now they get to look at those. And so we take a little bit of their warm-up that they're doing in this unit and have tied it to what we've done in a previous unit, which was brand, and then we talk a little bit about that. So this is a 15-minute activity, shouldn't take very long, but it should be able to connect them to their previous units. All right, so this is an example of a listening activity. The students will listen to a speech and they will get to hear it. Here, let me play it for you.
Unit 1. The Foundation to Presentations. Listening.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Yang. I'm the current Vice President of Wuchuan Senior High School, and I want to be your pick for Future Leader of Tomorrow. I believe that I am a passionate and strong candidate for your scholarship, and I will tell you why today. The topic of the scholarship contest is how the future leaders of tomorrow would fix their school today. I'm going to tell you 3 of my ideas about how to improve this school and raise everyone's grade.
So it's a very clear, well-spoken example that they can model from. The idea is that students can model from listening and hearing the emphasis. One of the things you can work on when you're teaching this kind of thing is how to moderate the speaking tones and the volume, how to raise your pitch, how to raise your speed, things of that nature. The other thing is this is about how a student applying for a scholarship, making a speech to get a scholarship. This is something that's real. A lot of groups like the Lions Club or other clubs in Taiwan have students doing this to get money. So this gives them a real sense of what they can accomplish. Organization. This gets paid the most lip service in almost all of the classes and textbooks I've seen. Oh, look, when you organize your speech, first comes the introduction or the hook. You have to grab the listener's attention, blah, blah, blah. We need to get it down even more basic. We have to explain step 1, step 2, step 3. What are your goals for this step? What are your goals for that step? Students need to be able to internalize and utilize the information that you give them so that they can do a better job of preparing the speech. So often I tell my students, follow the chronological ordering, and they can't do it because they don't take the time. This is a step in the process. They have to be taught this step so that they actually take the time to do this. So every unit has a section on organization, and from brainstorming to eliciting what parts of speech do what to ways of interacting with the audience. It's very important that they have a good foundation and organization so that their speeches seem cognitively advanced and follow a logic that appeals to the listener. Language focus. Okay, I'm a linguist, and so I really care about language. And students and scholars don't really know sometimes what is the best word to use. For example, a lot of my students or friends will say things like, I'll say, how was the book? Oh, it's perfect. Well, we don't say that in native speaking English. We don't say it's perfect. But the idea is that it's really wonderful, so we work on that. Or, when we're doing reported speech, a lot of people say, claim, so-and-so claim, blah, blah, blah. What they may not understand is that claim is the wrong word, because claim means you don't believe them. If I say so-and-so claimed it, it means I don't think they're right. And there's these kind of clues. And so that's one of the things we look at when we're doing the language focus. In each unit, we focus on a different aspect of language that may not have been taught before. This is an English class as well. So it's important that you have some clear understanding behind the language. And so we want to include this to help our teachers be able to explain explicitly what language is used when, where, and why. Okay? Every unit, like I said earlier, deals something with English Central. And so these are video lessons where they will watch a video, they'll listen to us and answer some questions based on the video. The videos are related to whatever that unit we're talking about is talking with. And the idea is that it's reinforcing. The other nice thing is it allows them to practice speaking and reading and vocabulary. I'm actually going to show you a video at the end about how students can use that. All right. One of my students did that, and I've got it, and I'll show it to you in the last section of the class. Now, the video lessons, they come with a QR code. The student will just click on it with their phone, get to watch it. They can do it at home. You don't have to do it in class. If you want, everything's going to be in the teacher's materials. it should be very self-explanatory. The videos were selected because they were brief and impactful. We didn't want to give them 15-minute long videos. I think 4 minutes is the longest one, and there's lots of pauses. Because many of our classes, in my experience, will have some really high-level students and some really low-level students. And so low-level students can't handle the high-level students' workload. So that's why we specifically targeted clear, easy, fun videos. Expert view. All right. As I said earlier, we assembled a team of 7 experts to share their opinions and thoughts about public speaking that they have to do as part of their job. And so, as part of their job, they have to give these presentations, and they have a wealth of information and a wealth of expertise that our students are able to get thanks to this book. And so, for example, here's one of our experts, Fred, talking about how to handle tough questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play the video for you now. It's on YouTube here, but in your book and in your materials, you'll be able to get access to it.
Hi everyone, my name is Fred, and today I'll be sharing my thoughts on the question, what do you do if you don't know the answer to the question during a presentation? Being a managing director for both a trading company and an electrical engineering company, I get to present my products and services quite often. And when it comes to the audience or clients asking me questions that I may not have an answer to right away, I think it's important that you keep this in mind. Be honest. And if you don't know, don't pretend you know, because it shows. Sometimes the audience may ask a question that is not quite clear to you, or you need to think of an answer to it. There's a process that I find quite useful, and it's called the Aca Model, which stands for Acknowledge, Clarify, and Answer. And you can use this method to buy yourself more time. So, what is an Aca Model? Firstly, you acknowledge the audience by thanking them. And say something like, thank you for this question, it is quite a good question. And secondly, you can clarify the question further if you are not too sure about it. For example, could you please tell me more about your question? Or, am I correct in saying that? Or, am I understanding your question correctly? Finally, you answer them. So you can say something like, please allow me to explain if you do know the answer. But if you don't, you can also say something like, regarding your question, I'm afraid I don't have an answer to it right away, but I'll look into it and get back to you as soon as I can. How to answer questions also depends on a few factors. 1, if the audience asks a question that is not within your expertise, or you don't have an answer to it right away, you can say something like, look, I'm not an expert in this field. If it's important to you, I'll be more than happy to look into it and come back to you. 2, if the audience raises a really good question or asks a question that is connected to a known issue, you can say something like, it's a good question. We have thought about it and we are currently looking into this issue, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. 3, if you simply don't have an answer to the question relating to this subject of your presentation, you can say something like, thanks for the question, I'm afraid I don't have an answer to it right away, and I'll get back to you. Finally, is the Q&A session. I see it as a sharing moment. Sometimes the audience may already know the answer and they just want more input. So take the information sharing, don't get too stressed about it. This is where the conversation comes in and opportunities appear if you can provide solutions to their problems. And remember, if you don't know the answer, avoid sounding uncertain or unsure. And this is to show the audience that you are hesitating or that you don't know your stuff. So it's best just to be honest about it, like I said earlier on. Finally, it is normal that you may not have all the answer to every question. So just tell them confidently that you will prepare the answers for them. I hope this is useful to all of you.
So, as you can see, Fred had some really important information. We took a couple of the key points and included in the book, but the video is very important because it gives it a real sense of humanity. The students are able to see and listen to a real person, not a pretty face. Or, well, I'm not saying Fred is not pretty. No, Fred's very pretty. What I'm saying is it's not an actor. These are real people, and the students will get a sense that these are people who have to use English to make presentations. And Fred was absolutely right. Don't fake it. It's so easy to tell when people are faking it. Be honest. That's the key. Presentation tasks. Now, every unit has a, let's call it a major task that they have to complete before moving on to the next unit. This one's pretty early on in the text because, as you can see, it's working in pairs and discussing with each other. It's important that the students feel safe. I've said that before, but this is a great way. Try this sometime in a class that's not public speaking. Ask a question, a very simple review question, and see how many students raise their hand. Then, the next week, have students do TPS, think, pair, share. All right, guys, talk to your neighbors, discuss with each other, what is the answer to this question, and then I'm going to call on people. Then call on people. You're going to get a lot more answers, and it's going to feel a lot more comfortable. Why? Students feel safe. Students feel protected. If I can share the responsibility with my colleague or my neighbor, then it's not me making the mistake, it's us making the mistake. Or, if we do it right, yay, I can feel great. So, in this presentation tasks, you're going to be looking at trends that you've investigate, and you're going to talk about things that have been currently happening in your world. And this is important. I looked at books and they were talking about, oh, look at the big competition between Reebok and Nike. Reebok? Reebok's not even used anymore. No one uses Reebok. It's all Nike. So it's important that instead of telling the students what to look at, to let them look for themselves. This will enhance their critical thinking and allow them to actually put some care into it because it's topics they chose. One of my favorite kinds of food is hot pot. I love hot pot. And the genius thing about hot pot is you can't say it's bad hot pot because you're the person who picked the food that goes inside of it. So your students can't say, oh, this is a bad topic because they're the ones who are picking the ingredients in it. Tips. Throughout the text, we give little tips about body language or ways to connect with the audience. One of the big ones is, if you guys can remember Bill Clinton, the former US president, he used to do this a lot. Public speaking, you're taught not to point with your finger because this is a sign of aggressiveness. So instead, I'll open hand palm gestures. And so I call this offering a sandwich. You're offering a sandwich to the audience. And by doing that, it makes them feel safer. We have little tips like this through body language specialists sprinkled out throughout the book. Little tips, and it just helps the students feel connected. We've come to the time of the talk about online teaching. I've been doing it this last semester, as many of you have, and I've had to use Teams. So what I'm going to be talking about works in Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet. I don't know what your school platform is using. If you have your own platform, I'm jealous. But we've been using Teams to connect with our students. One of the things I like to tell my students is do not turn on your cameras. I don't want to see you. That gives them a lot of research shows in the last year that when students are forced to turn on their camera, they feel uncomfortable because they're at home and then they have to, it just doesn't work. So I let them know that they don't have to turn on their cameras while we're in class. However, when they're doing their homework, they have to have their face on the camera. And that seems to work better because then they feel like, well, I have some control over the situation. That's one of the tips I've learned. Breakout rooms. So I'm of two minds when it comes to breakout rooms. On one hand, they're really annoying and difficult and laborious. It takes a long time to assign students to the different rooms. Once you have a system, it goes a lot faster. The other problem is If left to their own devices, if you tell your students, hey, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms, I want you to discuss blah, 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 they don't do it. You go in and they're all silent. And you go, what are you talking about? We already came up with the answer. Okay, so what's the answer? It's like, and you can tell that they haven't been working. So when you do this, you have to set up a system and make sure it's the same system and the same process every single time. Step 1, select a leader. Step 2, select a note taker. Step 3, select a voice. And then they have to discuss the question, write it down, share it with each other in the chat, and so that they can agree. That way when you come in, you can say, show me what you've been doing, and they show you what they've been doing. And then the voice is the one who tells you, and the leader can offer expertise. Try to keep small rooms, no more than 4 or 5 students. Otherwise, you'll get too many students who are just floating. And using other people to do all the work for them. If you are, like me, requiring your students to make little videos where they have to make a personal response or maybe a little speech or a reaction, allow them to use TikTok or Snapchat or Instagram, maybe Line, anything that allows them to cover their face. The students will feel a lot more safe and comfortable if they can, have cute kitty ears or something like that. It makes them feel not as intimidated. Because let's be honest, if we're doing this online like we're right now, it's weird. This is artificial. It's awkward. So it's important that we allow them some freedom and some creativity. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some English Central, some of the things that we've done with English Central. This is a little video I've prepared to show you guys about how English Central works. And I'm going to be showing what my students do. So let's watch. Students will come in, they'll get to watch a video, presentation skills, top tricks, and you'll pick out whatever you want them to watch, and they watch it. And they watch the video.
Hi, Sandra Diardachek here with Watch Mojo. Giving oral presentations is a big part of the business world.
So they'll watch these videos, then they'll learn the words.
Giving oral presentations is a big part of the business world.
Yay, oral, good. And then they'll speak the lines.
Giving oral presentations is a big part. The first thing you want to do is let your audience know why they're there.
The first thing that you want to do is let your audience know why they're there. And perfect, excellent. I got a 100%, not surprising.
A good way to grab their...
All right, and then what will happen is all of this will get saved in your students' reports here in the file. And let's change the date. Let's go for this semester. My students were for February 22nd till June 6th. And then they'll load them all up. So this student averaged to B+, A+. Let's listen to A+, because that's always good. Ricky. So he's watched all of these videos, and then...
Hiring managers are looking for candidates that are engaged in their field.
So it lets him practice them and hear, and you can just listen. And it makes it they can do this all on their phone, on their computer. It works everywhere. So I think this is a really easy and effective tool. All right, now I showed you one of my better students and I got his permission first, and it's a bit unfair because Ricky is really good at English and he's a really good public speaker. And it's not because of me. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how English Central works. There's all sorts of materials and resources out there. There's Vox, there's different ones. But English Central comes with a book. Why not use it? If you need more information about English Central, please contact Donghua. They're the sellers for English Central, so they'll be able to answer any questions you have. We use it here at Fengjia for our third-year English class as well. For our business prep, students have to watch, I think, like 48 videos over the semester and do something like 100 vocabulary and 100 spoken lines, something like that. In this way, it's been a godsend because with going online, it gives the students a platform that they can work with if they're at home. The other thing is even if they're not at home, they're still able to do it. It sends out weekly reminders, and it's pretty painless. TED Talks. Here's a video, a brief video I made a few years ago about how to use TED Talks to improve your English speaking. And TED Talks can be good and they can be bad. By this I mean they can be good because they're showing professional speakers doing what they're supposed to be doing and presenting. It can be bad because the topics can feel overwhelming, there's no connection to what the students may be doing, things of this nature. So if you are using TED Talks, make sure you teach your students how to criticize. And by criticize, that means saying what is good and what is bad. Too often people will just say all good and they don't talk about bad. Elon Musk is one of the most famous TED Talks. Elon Musk makes tons of presentations. Elon Musk would not pass my class. He pauses too long, uses way too many filler words, doesn't connect to his main goal, doesn't really feel like he's connected to the audience. Now that may be because he's on the spectrum of autistic, but the truth of the matter is he struggles when it comes to public speaking, but people love him. Why? He's charismatic. And so that's one of the things you can start to work with your students with using TED Talks. So let's watch this video.
Okay, so today we're talking about how to improve your English as quickly and efficiently as possible. I've come up with a fairly easy way that takes 5 days, maybe 1 week, of using TED.com to improve your English. What you need to do is go to TED.com and go to where it says search. There's lots of topics that you can search from. Today I'm interested in marketing. So I enter in the word marketing into the search bar and I click enter. And I get a few different results. If the result has a photo, that means it's a video. If it doesn't, it's usually just a question and answer. So now I'm going to select. No. Well, this guy looks cool and interesting. So I'm going to choose his topic. So I click on it. And it takes me to his talk. On day 1 of my program, you only push play. I've given you in a word form a chart that I want you to fill out. Go ahead and push play and listen to him talk. Write down the main idea, key points or examples he gives, anything you didn't understand, and things you think he does really well that you like. That's all you have to do for day 1. So we'll push play. Good.
So I work in marketing, which I love, but my first passion was physics. A passion brought to me by a wonderful school teacher.
Now, this is all you have to do for day 1. Just watch it. See how much you understand. On day 2, I want you to come over here to where it says subtitles and go to Chinese traditional. Choose it. All right. Then push play again.
And a little less grey hair.
Look.
So, he taught me.
It has the Chinese subtitles. Now on day 2, I want you to watch it again. Look over your day 1 notes, paying attention to what you did not understand. See how much you did understand. Oh, okay. Also, if there comes an expression that you think is very interesting, push pause. Write down the time. So here it says at 52 seconds. Write it down. Keep watching. Pause. Oops. Pause. Write it down. Write down the Chinese and the time. Watching. Pause. Oh, that's funny. Write it down. On day 3, I want you to turn on the subtitles to English. Now when you're watching, if you had written down a Chinese expression, write down the English. See if you understand more today than you did before. Now, day 4 is very simple. All I want you to do is go and click this button, Transcript. This gives you everything he says in transcript form. What I want you to do today is start at the beginning and read it along with him. You don't need subtitles.
So I work in
Within
marketing, which I love.
but
my first passion was physics. A passion brought to me by my wonderful teacher when I had little
little
gray hair.
So he taught
me that physics is cool because it teaches us so much about the world around us, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes trying to convince you.
Wow, he goes really fast. So what I would do is I would practice it at least 3 or 4 times, each little bit, until you can get it to pretty close with his speed and his enunciation. Notice that if he pauses, which means a wait, or if he makes his voice go up or down, try to make sure your voice can do the same thing. Try to work on your pronunciation of harder words. Now, day 5, we don't want transcript. We want a test. So no subtitles, turn off subtitles, turn off transcript. What I want you to do is push play.
That physics can teach us something about marketing.
So I pause it, and now I try to finish his sentence. So I was really interested in seeing how that would work.
Quick show of hands. Who studies?
Wow, I did really bad. So I would give myself 0 points. Now this time, I probably will do a little bit better. If it ever starts.
Because it teaches us so much about the world around us, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes trying to convince you that physics can teach us something about marketing.
So, a quick show of hands, who studied marketing in university?
Quick show of hands. Who studied some marketing at university?
Wow, I did really good. I give myself 10 points. Now, if you do okay, half-half, give yourself 5 points. During day 5, I want you to stop it 5 times. I want you to stop it 10 times at different places. Maybe here, maybe there, maybe there, maybe there, maybe there. 10 times. Try this to see how well you do. If you can get 65 points or higher, you've done a very good job. If you've done below 65 points, then you need to do days 2, 3, and 4 again. The whole goal here is that you're trying to improve your speaking and pronunciation and speed and rhythm. You're improving your vocabulary because they're using expressions and phrases that you may not learn from just listening to ICRT or reading ABC Live. And it's also hopefully going to inform you some information that's useful to your life. Here I'm learning about how to impact and engage my clients through marketing in physics. They have all sorts of topics, but it should be done in a fun and enjoyable way. Now luckily this talk I picked was only 7.5 minutes. Some talks go up to 22 minutes. Some talks don't. Try to see how well you can do. Make sure the people you choose and the topic is interesting, because you're going to be spending at least 2 hours with it. If it's something boring, you're not going to watch it. Thank you very much again for your support of drpublish.com.
Our final group task presentation is called Pecha Kucha or Pecha Kucha. This is a Japanese phrase meaning chit-chat. So about 15 years ago in Tokyo, 2 architects were noticing that so many of the presentations were so boring. So they came up with this idea. And what it is a system of presentation where you have 20 slides, 20 seconds each slide, 400 seconds. The slides cannot have words or very few words, and the presenter is the main force, not really the PPT slides. And so they came up with this, and they've had contests all around the world now. It's blowing up. There's other kinds of presentation styles, lightning and other formats, but we use Pecha Kucha in our class, and so we use it in our textbook. And so these are some that my students had to do for my class this semester. They've given me permission to show you. We've got a couple to see. Both teams had more people, so we extended them a little bit and allowed each person 5 or 6 slides of 20 seconds each, and that way it shares the group. Now the important thing is that they're showing. And now I have 2. One is under Pecha Kucha, and the other is under online. Let's go ahead and watch a few minutes of each.
There is a little boy Ken who likes to fishing in the lake for dinner on weekend.
Okay. After I wake up, and I think I want to be a better me, and I think I swear to do this work tomorrow.
Because of COVID-19, Macs has become people's daily necessity. The store has sold a variety of Macs to make money. The new Macs will be sold at high price. It is not possible to return to normal price.
When I entered Fengjia University, I was a freshman. I felt so excited about everything, and I don't want to study. I just want to hang out with my friend. So I choose to get a job, part-time job, in IKEA or IKEA, whatever. Earn money and having fun.
Before COVID-19 broke out, I prefer to go out rather than stay at home. After I go shopping, I can also go to the movies or eat something with my friends. But now, things are getting worse. I still have to decide what to do on the weekends.
Time for performance means making different choices for the same thing in different ways. It seems difficult, but in fact, everything we do in life is closely related to this. We can also use time performance to find mistakes in our life.
Why it called business? Because its name comes from the New Testament of Bible in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 25 verse 29. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have abundance, but from him who have not, even what he hath will be taken away.
The rich are always able to make money and become richer and richer. The poor can only exchange money with labor for a limited time. In order to survive, the poor have to use a portion of their income to subsidize their daily life. This is why they become poor and poor.
Even if their achievements are similar, all the work is done by a graduate student. Reputation is often given to researchers who are already well known, like an award that is awarded to the most senior researcher. In education, Matthew effect is negative. At school, teachers may cause dissatisfaction among other students by favoring one student too much.
The able example, we can know as work as long as you work hard to advance yourself and your own ability, then you will become more successful. In life, if you keep enjoyable mood to face life, then you will accumulate lots of happy moods. Hope everyone can get better and better. Our report is over. Thank you all.
Now, these students are business majors, and so they're discussing economic theories. Are they the best speakers? No. Was it clear? Yes. Why? They had a story. They had an idea. They got their idea across and they followed a process. Everything we do in this book is the same kind of thing we do in our classroom. They had about 4 weeks to put this together, and I built them up step by step. And they had 3 weeks to prepare. 4th week was the presentation. They showed their video in our team, and it went really well. I had to teach them how to do split screen. There's lots of videos on YouTube. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Mention it in the comments, and I'll try to send you some good materials. The whole thing is it's either split screen or picture in picture. Students put it together, and they take all of theirs, put it into one file, and they put their slides in one file, and they put them next to each other, and it's magic. And they feel really good. They're very proud of these. I have to say, my students always like these a lot. And it's important that you give them an opportunity to voice their ideas. All right? I want to say thank you very much. I've had a wonderful time today. I hope I've helped and explained our book very clearly. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below or on the side. I guess it's below. It's your screen. I'll try to respond to them. If you have other issues, please contact Donghua. They'll be able to answer any questions you may have. So thank you very much, and let's stay home and stay safe, and let's have a good summer. All right? Talk to you later. Bye.